Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection has released for PC and more importantly playable on the Steam Deck. Now these are two great games from the Uncharted series that I've played on the PlayStation 5 before. I'm looking forward to going through these again on PC and especially on the go with the Steam Deck, and performance is definitely good enough to enjoy the games. So let's get into it and take a look. Starting with our settings, we'll go into our display first, and I'm going to go middle of the road kind of with everything here. Borderless windowed, and I am using AMD's FSR2 on quality for both of these games. All the settings will be the same for both games. You could turn this off, you could use balanced performance, whatever you want to do. It's not that great in this game, to be honest with you. It doesn't help as much as I would like for it to, but you could use it. If you want to turn it off and change your render scale down to something like 70, 80, or 90, you might benefit more from that as well. I'm not going to lock any frames, but the other issue is this game is so CPU bound on the APU side of things that it's very hard to squeeze more out, and you really want to put more pressure on the GPU settings and less on CPU settings. So I'm going to use the medium preset here, again, kind of in the middle, and these settings will just give you a decent idea of where these two games are running with those settings set the way I have them. But of course, the fun part is tweaking the games to run the way that you want to. But this should give you a decent idea of performance with these particular settings and give you an idea of kind of what direction you want to go. I don't really recommend low settings because with the CPU bound situation, it usually makes frames worse than turning up to, say, medium or high, and you might find some custom settings that work better for you. But you can see here in the first game, Uncharted 4, that it's handling everything in this first scene on the Steam Deck quite well, bouncing and running in the 30s and 40s for our FPS here, which I was pretty happy with. And when we get into the city and walk around here, it's very similar. You'll experience anything from the 30s to 50s depending on where you're at, and what this has kind of been telling me is that in this first game of Uncharted 4, you might get away with locking your frames to about 40 FPS on the deck, which would be pretty cool, and definitely capable of running the game at a very solid 30 FPS when it comes to this game. I've put in some more time after this video as well, and 40 can't be held all the time later in the game, but it does work decently, and 30 for the most part will. So that's kind of where we're at with this, depending on what you want to do with your settings and how you want to lock your frames, but I think this gave us a decent idea of what to expect. Check out this next scene without me talking. See just a little bit more performance here from the Steam Deck on Uncharted 4, and then we'll switch over to Lost Legacy.
Esto va a estar más fácil de lo que esperaba, ¿eh?
You're gonna have to do it better than that, pal.
Acabemos con esto.
Let's go.
Chingada, este gringo sabe pelear, ¿eh? No puede.
Oh, thanks, fellas.
A ver cómo te sales de esta.
Alright, let's get moved over to the Lost Legacy, where things are just a little bit different. This is the newer game, and I expect it to be a little bit harder to run, and depending on where you're at, that does seem to be the case, especially here in this first scene of the game where you're kind of in this very busy little town area that you're working your way through. You'll kind of experience some of the lowest FPS that I've come up against in the game with these settings for either the first game or this one. But you're not always going to be in situations like this, but it does kind of give you that worst case scenario as it does push heavily here and lower your FPS. Same thing when you get out into the city, kind of like the other game, it is going to bounce between 30s and 40s, and when you zoom out and pull in more detail here with something like this, the frame times are going to be kind of all over the place, and you're going to dip into the 30s there. You can see how the game's kind of reacting there with the Steam Deck, but it feels fine to play, and it doesn't feel janky, and inputs are still really good. And even in scenes like this where we're just kind of running and it's really fast paced, there's a lot going on, we're being shot at, there's a lot of rain going on, we're getting in here, it holds its frame rate pretty well. So again, this game would be a perfect candidate for a 30 FPS cap depending on what settings you want to go for, or maybe 40 in some areas of the game, but there's not a lot more you can do here. Even if I increase the FSR or go into my resolution scale and bring that down, some scenes are just going to go below 40, so later on in the game especially, locking to 40 may be difficult, but 30 definitely should be doable. Now, of course, there will be patches. This is launch. Performance may get better, FSR may get better, and everybody might find some good tips or tricks to get the game to run even smoother or give us an even better locked 40 experience over 30. So definitely, guys, let me know what settings you're running this game at. What kind of FPS are you getting? What kind of tips, tricks, and things like that you might have for everybody in the comments down below. But anyways, I'll leave you with just a little bit more gameplay here from Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Thank you guys for coming to check out the video. As always, if you haven't already, subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, leave me your comments, and I'll see you in the next one.
My tree bridge fell. Can you make it across? Working on it. I'm fine, by the way. There we go. Okay.